we just had one of the best super speedway races that I think we've ever seen as a fan base. From the start of the race, before the green flag dropped, where everyone was around Bubba Wallace's car for the prayer, and Bubba was overcome with emotion, which was one of the most powerful moments in motorsports history, to an exciting finish between Ryan Blaney, John Nemechek, and Eric Jones, and turned into a last lap crash, multiple last lap crashes, to a lot of other things, including an exciting race with the restrictor plate package. This race, in my opinion, is a top 10 all-time classic race. And for me, my favorite super speedway race I have ever seen. It was just insane to watch. Like I said, if you watch today's race, if you missed it today, you miss a fantastic race. But I can understand why. Because this race actually did end up getting rain delayed from Sunday into Monday. And there was a good chance that this race was not going to finish today. But we were actually able to get this full race in. And like I said, this race was just beyond incredible. Throughout this race, it was pretty much dominated by the Penske cars and the drivers, Kyle Busch of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I said in this race, if you were going to win this race, you were going to have to beat Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, to go out and win this race, and Matt DiBenedetto as well, because those four looked really, really strong. Because once those four got hooked up together, they were really, really tough to beat, and you were going to have a hard time being able to pass them. But there were a lot of points in this race where it looked like guys like Tyler Reddick was up there, who actually got his first ever stage win in this race, and other drivers were able to kind of get up there and challenge him, including Denny Hamlin, Denny Hamlin had a pretty good day in this race, but he had a flat tire early in the event, so he kind of had a hard time coming up to the field. There was a lot of insane moments in this race and a lot to cover. We had a fantastic finish. Now, a couple laps to go in the race, this race would come down to field strategy, because there was a lot of people that were worried that they were going to run out of gas. Joey Logano was short on fuel. Bubba Wallace was short on fuel. Tyler Reddick, who was leading at the time, was short on fuel. And there were a lot of drivers who were really short on fuel in this race, which is kind of surprising for Talladega, but we didn't have as many cautions, and we really did not have a big one in this race until the end of this race, and I'm glad we didn't really have a big one, because we had some of the most exciting racing, like I've mentioned in the past, I have ever seen. It was just an incredible and phenomenal race to see. Ryan Blaney had one of the most incredible saves I've ever seen, and one of the best I've seen this year. He got sideways down the front stretch. He saves it and takes the lead from Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Stenhouse was making bold moves left, right, and center. The aggression some of these guys was incredible. One of the wrecks that did end up happening, we'll talk about it here, was between Joey Logano and Chase Elliott, and that rivalry continues between those two, by the way. Logano kind of came up in front of Chase Elliott. Brad was pushing Chase. Logano comes in front. Chase spins out, collects Austin Dillon. Those guys, unfortunately, would not finish the race, which was a really great shame. So at the end of the day, we came down to a fantastic finish between a lot of drivers. It thought Kevin Harvick was going to win this thing. He actually had the lead on the final restart after Jimmy Johnson got spun by Kevin Harvick, which that really made me kind of pissed off, not going to lie. It's like, I don't know what Kevin was doing. Jimmy came down a little bit, but Harvick kind of turned him. I'm not going to say it was intentional. He just dumped him unintentionally down the front stretch, which that really made me not the happiest person in the world. But you know what? It is what it is. We move on. Jimmy's just 3 years since he's won a race, and he just continues to not have races go his way, and it really, really sucks. And it came down, like I said, to a fantastic finish, and Ryan Blaney scores. He finally, if post-race inspection does go through, Ryan Blaney finally scores his first win of the season. Finally, I picked him to originally win the race. I wanted Bubba to win the race a lot more because of the whole situation that happened with Bubba the other day. He actually ended up finishing 14th. He had a pretty solid day. Good for Bubba Wallace. Now let's get into the results and talk about it. So, Bubba Wallace won the race today. Congrats to Bubba on that. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finished his second in a photo finish. Stenhouse was the most aggressive driver in this race, making some of the most bold moves I've ever seen. Stenhouse is the new Mr. Excitement. Move over Jimmy Spencer because he got the new Mr. Excitement. And Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finished a second. I apologize. We got a big rainstorm happening outside of my house. So if you hear that, that's what's going on. Third place goes Eric Almirola. Great run for Eric Almirola. Denny Hamlin finished his fourth after having a cut tire. Comes back to finish fourth. And Eric Jones, despite spinning out, coming to the line, he gets a fifth place finish. Sixth place goes to Chris Buescher. Seventh place, Alex Bowman. Eighth place, John Nemechek. Ninth place, Kurt Busch. and Kevin Harvick finishes in 10th. William Byron finishes 11th, 12th, Ty Dillon. Jimmy Johnson, after spinning out with 3 laps to go, comes back to finish 13th. Good for Jimmy Johnson. Bubba Wallace, like I mentioned, finishes 14th. I was wanting him to win the race, but good for Bubba Wallace. Another solid point save for him. He's probably going to be in a good position. He might be close to being in the playoffs. Might be close. Who really knows? 15th, Ryan Preece. Joey Logano, who looked to me like Joey Logano for most races, looked like he had the fastest car of all the drivers in the race. He finishes 16th. Corey LaJoie 17th. Michael McDowell 18th. 19th place goes to Brad Keselowski. And 20th place goes to Tyler Reddick, who had one of the best races of his career. Brendan Gaughan finishes 21st. 22nd place goes to Cole Custer. 23rd, Ryan Newman. 24th, Mark Truex Jr., who I picked to suck, and Truex really never had a good day. He just struggled and kind of hung back, mode to say, and he finishes where he kind of deserved. Clint Bowyer finishes 25th. Matt DiBenedetto finishes 26th. Quinn Out finishes 27th. 28th place goes to Daniel Suarez. Christopher Bell finishes 29th, and he actually had an issue. He came down, and basically what happened to Christopher Bell was he kind of jumped kind of forced Eric Jones below the yellow line. He actually had to serve pass-through penalty, and I think he ended up going a lap down, and he really was never able to recover and bounce back in this race. Gray Gaulding finishes 30th. BJ McLeod 31st. 32nd, Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch actually ended up having a flat tire in this race. Kyle Busch is still winless after 13 races and continues to have some of these really bad races. Hopefully Kyle Busch gets the first win of the year really, really soon. He had a really strong car in this race most of the day, but after having that tire go down with around 55 to 60 laps to go, he can never really bounce back, and he finishes 32nd place. I think he ended up going a couple laps down, if I'm not mistaken. Timmy Hill finishes 33rd. 34th place goes to Garrett Smithley. 35th, Brennan Poole. 36th, J.J. Ely. 37th place goes to Joey Gase, which he got involved in a crash with Brennan Poole with around 45 laps to go. That was a good shame because Brennan Poole actually had a decent day going, but he finishes in 35th place as well. Chase Elliott, 38th. Austin Hill, 39th, who got involved in that crash with Chase Elliott. And Matt Kenseth finishes last in 40th place. A really bad year for Matt Kenseth continues. Kenseth was up front a good amount of this race, but he actually had a brakes ended up breaking in his car. So a brake rotor basically ended up breaking in the car, and that took Matt Kenseth out of a shot to go get the win. So now let's go ahead and give you my opinions of this race. This race had everything. It was just incredible and just a phenomenal race. From incredible saves to drivers driving in extremely well to a fantastic racing, side-by-side racing, side drafting, back and forth. I think there were like 50 to 60 lead changes or something along those lines. There were a ton of lead changes in this race. To a great pre-race show, to a fantastic ending up to this race. It was just everything in this race worked in favor. And especially after what happened yesterday with the whole news situation with Bubba Wallace, we needed a race like this. And yesterday got rained out, so this may not happen. I don't know. But, it sucks what happened with Bubba Wallace. And I stand with Bubba in the situation. I'm always going to stand with Bubba. And I was wanting him to win this race today. But, 14th place isn't the worst finish. It sucks because, again, I know a lot of people are not going to be happy with the way that finished because people think that Ryan Blaney took out Eric Jones. It was just a race incident. What happened between those two? It's racing. You're going for the win. There's nothing really to do. He kind of slammed into him. Yes, he did. Kind of a dirty way to win the race. But you know what? It's Talladega. It's the last lap of the race. It really doesn't matter. But if one of my favorite races I've ever watched, it was just incredible. I am going to give this race a 10 out of 10. It was a perfect race day. I know rain did, yes, affect the outcome of this race, and I would maybe put it down a little bit, but I am giving this race a perfect score, 100%, one of the best races in NASCAR history, and a day not just to be talking about today, but for the rest of the year, and I think a race that we will be talking about for many, many years to come. Just an incredible day for motorsports. NASCAR, big thumbs up on that pre-race ceremony, and thank you to all the people who were here. And for the 5,000 fans that did get to go to this race, I think you got to see one of the best and most incredible things that you guys got to see, and I think one of the best races I've ever watched. And that pre-race show almost made me go into tears personally because that was an emotional pre-race. I was getting kind of emotional when I watched that pre-race. That was emotional. Bubba crying in tears because of it, and the emotion overcomes you, and the drivers being around his car today, that made me very, very emotional. One of the best races I think I have ever seen. So, anyway, that is going to be my review from the Geico 500 at Talladega. So, anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Turn notifications on so you can be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Links in the description below for that. And comment your thoughts on today's race. What did you think of today's Geico 500? Let me know in the comments below. So anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching today's race review. And I will see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.